good. You know, we're not going to miss any of the action. We'll get to analyze every single ban here. We have seen the NP style evolve a little bit, though. They are a new squad. They've done a lot of that 4 protect 1, you know, AUI in the safe lane, sort of a staple of this lineup, it feels like him getting just massive farm in the safe lane. But, you know, it seems like individually everyone on NP has really stepped up. You know, it's been a team effort.
Yeah, I think they've actually kind of moved a little away from the 4 Protect 1. We've seen him pick a lot of carry Venge, where they just want to snowball in the mid game instead of doing that and, like, let MSS do his own thing.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of, like, when he picks Terrorblade and they just want him to get farmed.
And MSS has shined a ton in this new kind of a setup, too, because when they were doing that, like, at the very beginning of NP, when it was more of this, like, AUI safe lane and some aggro tries with MSS, they looked good, but, I mean, they lost that best of 5 to FDL doing that kind of strategy, and since then, they've definitely evolved. Seeing a lot more out of MSS, where he's getting like his Timbersaw, his Centaur Warrunner, and he's making big plays.
Absolutely. Darkseer in that first banning couplet, that one's a little bit different. You'll see that every day.
I think they're just worried about laning advantages. NP definitely a team that would love to abuse an aggro tri-lane if they can. There's still a Batrider in the pool as well, which is maybe the most significant pick so far. But with the Warlock opening, NP's fairly covered, and they also haven't revealed what their draft does. Warlock, fantastic hero, just generic laning. His Shadow Word does amazing heal value, great damage. He's got a great right click with a couple Fatal Bonds. In some ways, you have 2 nukes, and then transitions into a great teamfight hero. So good at high grounding too because he's healing.
It looks like the NA Dota teams have kind of learned from it. We saw FDL run the carry Venge, now NP's taking it. We see Complexity first picking Warlock before anyone else, and now NP's doing it as well. Like all the teams kind of regionally have done that. And at Finem goes with tried and true classic Shadow Demon Luna.
All right.
And I think the most interesting thing about Warlock's rise is that he hasn't been buffed. It's just all the top tier supports just got nerfed down and down and down. And Shadow Demon is a perfect example of that. He's not as good at laning as he was before. He's severely worse, but he can still abuse towers with Shadow Demon Luna.
Absolutely. It's still a disgusting strategy. You hit 30, 40 minutes or so, and it's hard to deal with Slacks. It's low risk, super high reward. Chipping down those towers. If you don't have a Treant Protector, you're not healing those babies back up.
Disgusting. No, I mean,
disgusting.
It is. It's a strategy that says, hey, can you be aggressive? Can you come and fight us before we get out of control? Because if not, you're going to lose. And you know who can do that? MP, baby. They're going to be coming hard. These kids don't mess around. They got full aggression. Same thing with Ad Finem, though, so I'm a little concerned. Does Ad Finem run this combo a lot?
Ooh.
The Shadow Demon Luna? Is that something that they do?
I feel like kind of everybody does.
Everyone
I mean, it is the meta thing to do right now.
It's very popular in Europe, too, I think even more so than
Even
China
more so?
and NA and
I
stuff.
would agree.
off
I
over
think
here.
it fell off in a lot of regions.
you
Another
poor
hero
guy.
that fell off was Elder Titan, actually. That's a support that in elimination mode at least has been consistently left out, but it's perfect this game. If you're against illusion spam, you can reduce every point of armor that he's gotten from agility, which is absolutely the purpose of making illusions. So it'll at least heavily counter the damage output that the Luna illusions will do, and give them a huge physical damage combo against the Luna in the early game.
And of course, it is an SVG classic hero. That's like his bread and butter, one of his favorites to play.
And already for the high ground, they have Warlock, Fatal Bonds, Upheaval, and just Elder Titan Stomp Spam. It's going to be hard to go
That
uphill.
is one thing about the Shadow Demon Luna. I think one reason it did fall off is that you are revealing right away, it's a very telegraphed strategy. Like, teams have seen this over and over. And one of the things that's nice about it, though, even though you kind of know what the whole general plan is, and this whole illusion siege and whatnot, and how you can just go up to the high ground and do your thing, but you can have a lot of different laning options here. So we can't really guarantee it's just going to be safe lane through the Shadow Demon Luna. It could be an aggro try for Ad Finem, which isn't something you necessarily can get out of any sort of a 2-hero combo right off the bat.
And it might be good for them too, just because Elder Titan's tri-lane is kind of weak in a lot of ways. Do you grab Stomp level, and the cast time is 1.7 seconds right now. There's a lot of ways to interrupt that, or he just doesn't contribute as much to a tri-lane as most supports. So definitely something that NP has to be concerned about here and worried for.
Faceless Void now, 3rd ban for Ad Finem, just trying to eliminate some of those team fight heroes. And now the Batrider for MP. Batrider, a hero we're going to keep an eye on throughout this tournament. He's hot stuff right now.
Both teams should be very concerned about who the solo laners are going to be for either team, because they could get an advantage. So both Void and Batrider are extremely good at most 1v1s at least.
Yeah, and the last one's left to be Axe and Sand King, in terms of our current meta heroes, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We've seen Sand King kind of fall off in NA. It wasn't picked or banned in the NP versus EG finals. Just wasn't touched at all.
There were a couple heroes there, too.
I'm surprised. I feel like it's pretty good against Luna SD, at least.
Yeah, especially versus SD.
Just because if you get Ags, you can apply the caustic to every illusion, and then if you kill them afterwards, that's a lot of pops.
Well, a lot of Sand King players forget that Sandstorm exists.
Because it's a bad spell.
It's
You're
really-
a bad
It's
spell.
pretty bad.
Don't you talk to
Yeah,
me.
we're seeing Sand King's like level 8 skipping Sandstorm at this
It's
point.
amazing.
Slacks.
I
It
like
is.
Sandstorm. He does a little dance. Do you know he whispers when he casts it too?
Are you still 5k MMR or is
Yes!
that okay? Just making
Yeah.
sure.
It's very sensual.
And you've been grinding games a lot recently as well, right? Yeah.
Rain at a time.
The thing is, if you're in a 1v1 lane, Sandstorm, like, wasting a spell point on that
Yeah.
can actually just lose you a lane, or, like, lose you a ton of farm. Versus a tri-lane, a random point at level 4 could help you survive a gank, I suppose, but...
That is true.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same with talking about Sandstorm on a panel. It kind of loses your career and your people's expectation that you know anything about Dota
Yeah, we'll
as well.
see. We'll see tomorrow when I put a bunch of sand in my pocket and throw it in your face. We'll see what you have to say about Sandstorm then, pal. All right?
Yeah, all right.
Anywho,
Nyx Assassin now banned out by Finem. Another hero that we've seen actually poke his head into the competitive scene, though. Similar to Ogre, he's got a lot of base regen. He's amazing against certain heroes like Bat Rider, Dark Seer. You get the guaranteed stun with the Spike Carapace. Definitely an offlaner that you need to be wary of in this meta.
It's so good at controlling mid-game team fights as well if you're against the right heroes, just with Spike Carapace, because oftentimes those like 12 to 14-minute team fights are super essential because getting a kill or winning a fight turns into a tower kill. So Nick's very good right now.
Yeah.
I
The
can't wait
European
for him
team
to
picked
put
it.
his first point into Sandstorm.
That's actually the worst level one I've ever done. I don't think that there's much anything,
Come on, Finem.
maybe like Glaive's
Aftershock.
level 1 on Luna. Oh, and Earthshaker.
I see the masterminds here. Eternal Envy, AUI in the background.
So anyway, are they picking that Sand King as a deny pick against Team NP since he's pretty okay versus the Luna Shadow Demon combo?
It's an extremely good hero. I think a lot
Yeah.
of them
I
are
think it's
Axe.
a good solo
and
hero.
It goes
too.
both ways. It's a good deny pick, and it's also just a great hero. Good team fight to synergize with Luna. You've got an amazing stun.
And it could be a solo, and it could be a support. is the
Exactly,
other
and that's
really good
very
part.
important too, because like with the Shadow Demon set up too, with that really short range for like support Sand King, he really needs that little bit of help early on. So
Yeah,
still very nice and open for FNM depending on what NP take.
May I say something?
sure.
No.
Where is Drow Ranger? Not banned, not
All right,
picked.
I'll give this one to you.
And that's pretty interesting. Drow,
It
typically
is.
your first ban material these days. Both teams, some reason, letting her go.
I mean, for example, in our second, I think Wings is still a team that if Drow's available, they're going to be happy to snatch it up pretty early in the draft. It's interesting seeing neither of these teams really prioritize it.
Has everyone been just so psychologically damaged by
You know,
all the
it
Drow
must have
they-
been elimination mode too.
Yeah.
She's been
Maybe they
banned out every
forgot.
game, and they've just forgotten that she's there. Where's the Pit Lord?
They learned there's actually a new way to play the game. Who knew?
Like, how would you, if you first pick Shadow Demon Luna, you'd think, wow, Luna, Drow Orb, but where are you going to run the
Yeah, it's pretty greedy.
Drow out? You going to run
Yeah.
it middle and just get
And then you already have an Elder
absolutely stomped?
Titan, so you're like, well, I don't really want 3 ranged heroes. I really want that 4 ranged heroes.
Let me tell you guys about my jungle Drow strat. It's pretty good.
Can we not?
Let's talk about OD
Great.
instead. OD is still quite good, very strong in the mid lane as well against a lot of matchups, but is he going to be vulnerable to Elder Titan? One big problem with OD is that he usually doesn't transition to armor items. I guess he could go Veil really easy this game, though.
Yeah.
That could give him some super value against Elder Titan Slardar.
Yeah, and it fits nicely with the whole Luna SD idea too, because he's a hero that kind of peaks in the same moments as Luna, which I guess is good and bad in some ways, because
Yeah.
in that early game, OD can be very strong, and you could move up and you might just win the game right there. Snowball too heavily, get some objectives, but then he has that kind of like fall off period like a Luna does.
This might be weird, and I bring it up only because I saw somebody do it about 2 weeks ago. Mech OD, very old school build, but this could be a game where they're tempted depending on what that second support is. I mean, Shadow Demon, Sand King, not really natural mech carriers, so.
I kind of like it. It's just NP's more kill one guy than kill one guy. And Mech is much better against, hey, I just got quap ulted on my whole team, and I'm going to counteract that with Knights.
Right.
Otherwise, I like the idea.
One thing that's a little worrisome, I'd say, for FNM right now would be that control of the Ancients, because whenever we talk about NP, we've seen a lot of play around the Ancients right now, and they're on Dire side, which is generally harder to contest. It's a lot better for the Dire side to be controlling those, because it's also around Roche, so you're going to be containing that away from FNM. And right now, the heroes they have aren't exactly ideal at getting up in there, and like those big longer cooldowns too.
Yeah, especially with Elder Titan, they're always going to have the vision of that, and they
So
just send a
good.
Spirit over there, see if they're doing it, see if they're stacking it.
Yeah.
Could it be an Invoker for NP? Will they do the classic?
I mean, it's
Send
there,
Invoker?
like,
It looks really good this game, because
I
they
think
can
it's
put Slar in a 1v1, therefore he can always set up a Sunstrike kill on the Sand King if that's what the matchup is, and it's decent against OD because you're pretty far ranged, gives them even more control with Cold Snap and Forge Spirits and lane push like that as well. It would be really useful.
I mean, they took out his Razor, so I don't really know what else it could be.
This is kind of a cool draft for NP, though, because first pick Warlock, you often think, okay, big team fight ultimate, sort of the Wombo combo, if you will. And here they've got a good mix. You've got spammable stuns from Sven and Slardar, and now Marana, a good follow-up for those guaranteed stuns.
I think I like this better just because of the stun follow-up, because if they just chain stun one guy, I mean, obviously there's Shadow Demon, he can counteract that once, but they have so many disables that they have tons of options. And as long as they have Elder Titan roaming, as soon as he's level 2, the person in the mid lane always has to fear the sleep into arrow. I mean, he can banish himself, but then Muerta can play around that as well. So it's looking kind of scary now for OD in the mid lane, just because that Muerta pick.
Yeah, normally that Shadow Demon OD combo is pretty annoying to play against because you have the double banish, but here it's almost great setup for Muerta, it's great setup for Elder Titan, it's even good setup for Slark to come in and perhaps close the gap to set up a stun. So might be one of those games where you got to think twice before you banish yourself out.
Yeah, another huge advantage that Team NP has is they have a lot of area of effect non-single target stunts. I mean, that's going to be pretty hard for Sand King to avoid with Sandstorm.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is very true until the Sandstorm
Excellent
part,
point.
They're going to get him. So, scary stuff. Anyway.
How's he ever going to channel the full duration of 60 seconds in a team fight with
I don't
that
think
many
he can get it
stuns?
off.
I've seen worse. You guys remember that Crystal Maiden full duration ult the other day?
I do.
I mean, come on. He just needs a BKB into Sandstorm, and he's gonna do.
That's 100 damage. That's like an Iron Shell, dude.
That's crazy. All right,
For the
last
Final
pick.
pick, add Finem. Could be a support, could be a core. The Sand King is the flex, and it's a Kunkka, so still a little bit open-ended,
Probably
but
support.
Support
yeah.
almost
Very
for sure,
solid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great with the OD in the mid lane too.
And you can
Setup.
X marks the Muerta every time he ganks him. It's and same as against Slardar. If he ever wants to gank Slardar or Muerta, they're normal good survivabilities can be countered. I like it.
yeah, there's a lot of good setup for the Kunkka.
It's more burst as well. It's something that they really needed on their side, especially with OD mid, and their offlane was like Sand King. They were almost entirely reliant on either Eclipse, Sand King, or maybe OD being in a gank early, but having Kunkka there, just get a fast level 6. At least you should have X Torrent Boat for almost every gank. They
So,
needed that.
game number 1, we talked about these teams fairly evenly matched up. Feeling pretty even about these drafts? Anyone feel like there's a clear advantage either side?
I think I like the NP draft better myself.
I would agree just because of the control on that dire side. I think it fits their playstyle extremely well. I don't see anything from Finem they're really going to upset the way they play. Not that they can't, of course, take the game, but I think NP feel very comfortable with this.
I like it Venom just because they have way more catch. The Kunkka X, the disruption from SD, and even the Sand King, like guaranteed stuns every time. If they win the laning phase, I don't see how they lose the game.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
I mean, I know Trent's talked about Ancients. It's always something that comes up with NP, but this game, both sides have heroes that can kill Ancients. Stacking, contesting, I think that could be the difference maker here, depending on how map control goes.
It does take Luna a lot longer to clear Ancients, though, and Sven can kill them more often. He can stack easier. I guess, I mean, she can buy Helm of the Dominator, but does she really want to? And then it would have to be a support stacking.
True.
I feel like maybe Adfinem just ignores stacking and just always fights for when NP does it.
Okay.
Wins a team fight, then takes it. That would be a lot safer, I think, for the
All
gameplay.
right. Well, with that said, folks, we've got a game on our hands. So you had something to
I
say,
gotta
Slack?
predict.
All right.
You
Oh,
didn't
the
ask me.
predictions. All right.
Okay, whatever.
Very quickly, who wins game 1, Slack?
Flip a coin.
Oh, flip a coin.
Go ahead. Do you want a coin?
I'm gonna go
Cap-
with Ad Finem.
Cap has
NP.
one.
Predictions?
I'm going to say NP still.
Let's say at Venom.
NP.
All right, and with that, we've got 2 commentators to take this away. We've got Mott and Cap for game number 1.
Thanks so much, guys. We are here in game number 1 of the Northern Arena Beat Invitational. Of course, it is NP versus Adfinem. Cap, we just heard what, of course, the panelists thought about this particular game, this particular series. How do you feel about the drafts coming out for both Adfinem and NP right now?
I think one of the things that, well, first we're going to have a first blood, so
Oh, God.
okay.
That was an unfortunate Burrow strike from Skylark. AUI actually gets off the stun, and we're fine. Okay. He's okay. He's fine.
What happened?
I don't know. If you miss this Burrow strike, Skylark, it's okay. Get those land jitters out of the way.
I guess so. Man, that's weird. Adfinem, I was just about to, praise the fact that, hey, last time I saw them in LAN, I was casting them in MLG. They beat Evil Geniuses. They seem to be a great LAN team. And, yeah, well, got to get the jitters out of the way as quick as possible, I guess. But I have to say that I was kind of leading the way of NP when I was looking at the draft. That being said, I think the last pick of the Kunkka was quite good. I think it was a very strong pickup. They needed some more added survivability for their Luna and their OD, and these heroes are just like, there's so much going on with the Elder Titan aura, with the minus armor that's going to be applied by the Slardar. I think the Luna was going to have a really hard time surviving through all that. That minus armor that's going to be applied is an agility hero. So I really like the fact that the Kunkka is going to add a lot more survivability to this lineup. And I think Grant brought up a really good point, is that they have so much catch. So if they do win this aggro tri lane, they can go on to very easily snowball and continue to get pickoffs throughout the game.
We were talking during the draft, and when SVG actually got that Elder Titan, I heard you groan to a certain extent. You were like, "Oh God, it's the Elder Titan for SVG again." Here we go. I mean, this is a hero that he plays particularly well. He's played it very often on all of his pro teams that he's been in so far. So obviously, SVG very confident on this Elder Titan here in this top lane.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those matchups that is going to need a little bit of finesse for NP, right? They're facing up against an aggro tri-lane with a Luna, and they have to make it work with a Warlock Elder Titan. These are not necessarily bad heroes by any means, but they are a little bit weak at level 1, right? With their strongest point, Lunar tri-lane comes in, it's all that extra damage with the aura. Meanwhile, you're talking about Fatal Bonds and a Spirit coming out for more like it's good harassment, but it's not necessarily good kill potential. So they just have to finesse their positioning pretty well. They need to be able to harass Ad Finem a whole bunch, see if they can force them out of this aggro tri-lane, I would say by the 3 or 4 minute mark.
How do they get experience on the Warlock and Elder Titan as well? Not two particularly great roaming heroes, Warlock especially, but how do they get experience in this lane?
But that's the other dangerous thing, right? Is that you're not going to be able to get any experience. You can't really, I don't think they're going to have space to pull. Their camp, at least they did have the pull camp blocked up, but it looks like it was counter-warded by NP. So that's now free. I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe we're going to see the Warlock stack it and pull it now. Yeah, that's exactly why he's been waiting. So, but if he leaves the lane, it's very obvious they could just go.
And that's exactly what they were doing. They threw up the Torrent, came through, and obviously did some harass to AUI. Not an easy kill, especially early on here with the lack of levels for Ad Finem themselves. But they did some harass to AUI. It's a very tough lane for him to walk up and get CS in, as you'll see as we progress through the lane phase. But so far, the lane's shaping up pretty nicely for Ad Finem. You look at the mid lane, you have the Outworld Devourer, 10 last hits, 5 denies. Envy sitting right now on 5 last hits, so obviously he's having a very good time. And the rest of the heroes are doing rather well for themselves as well.
Yeah, maybe next time just picks up a bounty rune right ahead of SVG. And the Sand King has a very, I would say, very favorable matchup. Slardar seems to be doing pretty well, honestly. I'm surprised MSS is keeping pace in CS, but it's only going to get worse as the Caustic Finale gets leveled up more and more. And then as Sand King does this as well, he can easily take advantage of pulls, right? Because he's a hero that just will right-click the neutrals, and how can MSS possibly contest? So there are a lot of opportunities for Sand King to get ahead. Shadow Demon goes ahead and kills himself to neutrals. Real quick way to go back to base, full health, full mana. And that's, again, the thing that NP are really good at being able to put harassment damage into this aggro tri-lane, so they need to funnel this regen and need to be as efficient as possible when it comes to keeping their HP points as high as possible, because that Fatal Bonds, I mean, you saw the last time they went on the Sven, right? The Fatal Bonds, Warlock wasn't there, but the Fatal Bonds was, and they brought the Shadow Demon very low.
Yeah. That's something you have to be very careful with the supports for Ad Finem right now. They still have this aggro tri-lane going. No kills just yet. They're really kind of doing an okay job of stopping the farm, but AUI still has 10 last hits. Sure, he doesn't have the highest CS in the world, but he's doing pretty well for himself, all things considered. You do have the Elder Titan who went back home, so NP's going to have one less hero in this tri-lane. Now he'll be back up top. There's really no action going on, which is kind of surprising, but at some point in time, we are going to see probably some sort of engagement up here in the top lane.
Yeah, I think really that's to NP's benefit, the fact that there isn't any kills just yet. I really think that they would be most likely the one to give away First Blood against this Shadow Demon into Torrent plus Luna and all 3 heroes hitting on you with the extra aura. But the thing is, they've only let AUI be in range of the disruption. And maybe
he walks up too far. Madera's trying to go to the side step. They do miss the stomp. The Shadow Word is up, though. There's no Fatal Bonds. He's going to be able to use his stick charge that he just bought. He's going to try to keep you out. Stormhammer's not there in time. AUI did not have the mana for it, I don't believe. So they do put some harass on the Luna. She does have to go back home. Madera, of course, taking some time to get some HP back. And they give a little bit more of an advantage to AUI 2000 here now.
I think this is about the time where you start considering switching up your aggro tri-lane. Maybe they're going to try and make another go of it, but the honest truth is aggro tri-lanes in the current meta don't usually last past 6 or 7 minutes. In fact, they usually crumble a little bit earlier than that. You just need enough time to be able to give your offlaner enough time to get level 5, level 6, and then you can go ahead and ensure the Luna gets farm, safe farm once again. But they're going to try and make the aggro tri-lane work again. Let's see if they get punished.
Very good self-destruction. It might not be enough. Elusive Beam will go. They have the Shadow Word. That is First Blood. 1437 is going to get an AUI 2000 X marks. They'll bring it back. He's still very tanky. They have enough damage here. It will be enough with Elusive Beam going. They'll trade, but here comes the stomp. They will put the Cook to sleep. Can they chase him down? They'll try to body block him. SVG not able to get in front. The Elusive Beam stops him from getting one more right click off. They'll put some harass on Madera, but that is it. It is a 1-for-1 trade. It is First Blood going the way of NP, but they also lose their spend in the process there, Cap.
Yeah, I think another thing to look out for is if they try and continue this aggro tri lane even further. You're already seeing how it's beginning to devolve a little bit as the levels finally start coming in for the Elder Titan. It will devolve even further because Eternal Envy, he's playing a hero that is more likely to rotate, right? And that's what you really got to be careful at this point is if you continue to go an aggro tri lane, you're more and more likely to get punished by a mid laner making that rotation behind the tier 1 tower in some sort of attempt of a push from the Dire side. So they got to be careful with that, but the longer they make this work, you know, they made a 1-for-1 trade. It wasn't terrible. They killed the Sven. The longer they can make this work and go even and survive through this aggro tri lane situation, the more they're giving Sand King a really big lead and a faster and faster Blink Dagger.
They are trying to set up here on mid. It looks like SVG has rotated in. He'll be able to pick up this Haste Rune and take it away from Thug, who's rotated down to that bottom rune spot. Thug will not see it. There's no vision in terms of wards. SVG smartly hides in the Roche pit so that he's not scouted out. They don't know who took the Haste Rune exactly. It looks like SVG will instead rotate bottom, see if he can get something done there. But I like the movements. However, this is going to make that top lane a little bit more difficult for the Sven.
Yeah, Sven, AUI playing just real far back since he knows he doesn't have the Elder Titan. Warlock's not much of a saving grace right now. They seem really committed to give Skylark like a really fast Blink Dagger. And it kind of makes sense, but leaving AUI completely exposed.
Yeah, he walked up too far. X-Mark Storm will go. He is still very tanky with that Warcry, but it's not enough to Shadow Ward healing him up the Lucid Beam. One more right-click and Spartan will pick it up on that Shadow Demon.
And meanwhile, SVG wasn't really able to make much happen with that Haste Rune. They tried to make a little bit of a go on the Sand King at bottom lane. Obviously would have been a great kill with Sand King occupying the second highest net worth in this game, but doesn't work out, and they're just letting AUI drown at this point in time. At Finem do have some pushing power, and that's the dangerous part, right? They have a Luna carry. They're going to be able to take some of these early towers. If they start getting control of the map and they take away Ancients away from a Sven, there's no way for AUI to get back in this game, right?
Yep.
Bad laning phase, no Ancient farming. A Sven really doesn't overcome that. So this is a very dangerous point in time for NP. As they start rotating out, they really need to find some connections with these ganks.
Yeah, I mean, Sven, of course, a hero that really relies on being ahead in the early game. That's not happening right now. CS-wise, 18 last hits. He's pretty much halfway down in terms of the Luna's farm. You look at the mid lane and the safe lane as well for at Finem. It's going exceptionally well for this OD, for the Sand King. They've got everything going for them right now in terms of this early game. Now, can they keep up the paces is the question. As they do rotate out a couple heroes from top, they'll keep the Luna up there for the time being. Skylark is still getting good farm, but down bottom, NP. They do have AUI, who's rotated down. MSS has been spotted as well. So there's 2 heroes. They should know a third is nearby, and a 4th rotating down in terms of course, Eternal Envy, who has picked up a rune as well. I don't know if they can really find anything here. You can see Skylark's already backing away. There's the smoke of Ad Finem are ready to fight this. There's the Burst Stricken onto 2. Here's the dive. The arrow's going to come through the Stormhammer as well. There's the damage coming out. Starstorm torns up. They will actually get the stealth disruption off as well. He stays alive for the time being. They will finally get the kill on Skylark. AUI getting low as well now. Will finally drop. It's already turning bad for NP. They have to get out. Here comes this giant Thug. Outworld Devourer throwing out his right kick, doing what he can. SVG gets torn up. Nicely done. And Madara gets a double kill for himself. They turn it around. A 2-for-1 exchange.
Really well read by Ad Finem. They saw that whole entire rotation coming, right? They saw the fact that Sand King's like, hey, MSS is playing a little bit over aggressive. He's putting Amplify on me constantly. It seems like he wants to go. And sure enough, with the Sven gone at the top lane, right? He makes the rotation bottom. Sand King calls to his allies. They set up the smoke rotation. Great counter initiation. Unfortunately, they lose their Shadow Demon there, but I think overall Ad Finem are still very happy with the place they are at in this game.
Yeah, because they killed AUI again for, I don't know, maybe 2nd or 3rd time here at this point. He's having a rough go of it early on in this game. I mean, he's got almost max Great Fleet, but that's it. He doesn't have any real items. He's got his infused raindrop boots and a windlace. He's really not got anything to help propel him into this mid to late game.
And traditionally, with this NP squad, Eternal Envy has played more of a space creation role than anything else, right? You look at his Invoker, it's incredibly disruptive. He plays this a little bit high risk, high reward kind of playstyle where he's very erratic and chaotic in his movements across the map, and it makes it hard for the enemy team to read. And he goes for these 1v1 plays constantly, where he will trade his life oftentimes to be able to get a core kill, and that will just create space for AUI. But that's currently not happening at all in this game. Right. AUI is by far the one who is most down, and he will continue to be down unless NP can create a ton of space for him.
Zorn's going to fly at SVG. Here comes the Eclipse as well from Madara. He's chasing after MSS. Can't quite get him. SVG left to be the lone target. Gets off a nice stomp. Will try to deny himself to Roche. but there's too much damage with the Shadow Demon popping his W, and that's it. Madera will find himself another kill, get even more farm, and they're 5-3 up right now. The Luna's second in net worth. They're doing rather well for themselves on Adfinim's side.
Yeah, certainly. Another thing to fall back on is that Eternal Envy is playing a hero that doesn't really scale all that well. We've seen Muranas go super late game, pick up Ethereal Blades and Daggons, but let's be honest, it's not going to compare to an Invoker. Now he might be caught. Torrent a little off the mark, though.
They should still kill him. They have the X marks there. He's actually rather tanky. Arcane Orb doing some nice work. There's the Burrow Strike, and that will secure the kill. As Skylark walks over, they get a much-needed one. A huge pickup at Eternal Envy, down for 30 seconds now for NP.
Honestly, Adfinum are just, they seem to have, I looked at the draft and I was like, okay, it kind of sucks, you know, they gave away an Elder Titan and they picked up a Luna 1-2. That was a bit unfortunate, but everything else said NP would, or rather Adfinum were prepared for NP, right? They had the early ban of the Naga Siren. They didn't give Radiant Sight over to NP, so we're not going to see a Sven Invoker strat.
There's a fight setting up, and we have been spoke down here. They will use the Chaotic Offering. If they get at least one kill, absolutely the bash comes through, and the amplified damage takes down SSA Spartan. But if they can get Madera out, that is a Chaotic Offering used for a single support Shadow Demon, and that might be it. Maybe they can push into this Tier 1 tower and get something out of this, but that's the only kill they got in that last engagement.
Yeah, and it's, I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to pick up this tower, to be honest.
Oh, Thug goes for the ulti mid, and it's the infused right drop that keeps him alive. Now the arrow's going to hit MSS rotating in, and finally they get their first big pick up the game. There will be an X-Mark followed up with a Torrent, the loose beam out as well. Not nearly enough damage to bring MSS down. It was that newly limited Blink Dagger that helps secure the kill. But speaking of Blink, Skylark jumps in with a Burrow Strike. Here's the fight. 4-man crush from MSS. Isn't enough to stop as well. Can they follow this up? There's just not enough damage here. The arrow will come through. Spartan, no. It's going to hit Madera. That would be a huge kill, but again, very tanky. Skylark, we're going to go back in, but it looks like that will be the end of the engagement. It's looking so good for NP after that 4-man crush, but there just wasn't the damage that they needed.
I mean, even with the tome coming up, they still don't have level 6 on the Elder Titan. Looks like MSS still managed to pick up the kill on one, though.
Yeah.
This guy's been playing really well for NP. Ever since he joined this roster, I feel like he's been picking up speed as an offlaner.
Yeah, he's crushing it right now. Even in that lane that was kind of rough for him down bottom, he's now currently top in the net worth after those couple of Blink initiations. MSS is going to keep them in this game, at least for now. You're right, this guy's a goddamn player, so.
The rest of NP really should have been able to capitalize on. Oh, never mind, we're going to have jump on NP.
Oh, no! What a leap. Just half a second before the Burrow Strike, and Skylark is unfortunately not going to be able to pick up that kill. It's very close, though.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Skylark did that perfectly, right? And he jumps next to Envy and he gets the Burrow Strike. I'm still not fully convinced he would be able to bring down Envy by himself before the leap away comes in and dodges some of that damage from the epicenter. But that mid fight should have gone so much worse, right, if Elder Titan had level 6.
Right.
But it's all because the laning phase went so well for Adfinum that they stay ahead, right? If that had been a stomp into an Elder Titan ult, then that fight would have been over. There would have been at least 2 or 3 kills going the way of NP, and they would have been right back into this. But it goes to show the effects of the laning phase and how that can create these little ripples farther out into the mid game. As we're now 13 minutes in, MSS is top of the net worth chart. He's been doing very well for himself, but his cores are very clearly suffering. They've got Envy at 4K, AUI at 3,700. You never want to say that AUI is behind, right? Not for this team. Unless Envy has some sort of scaling hero and MSS is also a scaling offlaner, then that's okay.
Right.
But for most part, NP, you never want to see AUI being behind.
I mean, there are ways for him to catch back up into the team. He does have great cleave. He has abilities to take ancient stacks, but the problem is that Adfinum are starting to pressure, poke and prod, find initiations. However, NP are starting to make room for themselves. Adfinum going to back up underneath that tier 2 tower with the smoke coming in, and NP still looking for a target. There's the Moonlight Shadow. They'll drop the ward down as well. Madera as well as it looking to just go up in jungle, but instead it's going to be Skylark maybe spotted out. He's sitting behind the tree line. They will go for Thug. It looks like Envy has spotted him. Can they find an initiation here? It looks like NP are just going to back away. They won't find anything with the smoke or the Moonlight Shadow. And now it's Adfinum's turn to smoke and conversely try to find something here. They're going to have, of course, Thug walk up, bait a little bit, but here comes the rest of the squad. Flank Burrow Strike. They found SVG. They're looking for more. They get off the Lucid Beam and a couple of Arcane Orbs. Should do the job. No stick charges there for SVG to pop, and it'll be one quick kill, and that's about it looks like.
Yeah, another good read by Adfinem. They seem to just know when NP is going to be smoking. And part of it is the aggressive vision. For example, the mid wards that they had set up were able to scout the fact that, hey, Envy's missing. If Envy's missing, most likely Moonlight Shadow is being used. And they're trying to push out because this is kind of a classic timing. It's at the time at 15 minutes is usually the time where you have at least 4 or 5 stacks on the Ancients. And you want to be able to clear that. But first, in order to do so, it is hubris just to try and go in and clear that stack. You always try and push out with a smoke, find a pick off or something, and then back up and clear that stack. Looks like NP will still be able to do it, though. Aren't going to be punished in any way. Despite that pick up on SVG, they had enough to be able to keep their tier 1 mid alive, and that will definitely bring AUI into a place that he's very comfortable with. 5,200 compared to Luna, who's sitting at 5K.
Yep.
Purge brought this up. It was the fact that while they do have Ancient clearing on Adfinem, it's not nearly the speed of Sven. So this next 10-minute window...
Not this early in the game, too.
Exactly. So this next 10-minute window is a space for NP to shoot ahead of Adfinem and then start dominating the mid-game.
We'll see what they could do. NP are in a very good position. They've actually given themselves a good chance here at 15 minutes in. We've talked about AUI catching back up. Envy, of course, doing rather well for himself. It's like that's still top of the net worth right now, but NP can still take this game. Top lane, they're setting for a bit of a gank here. You do have the epicenter. There's the Burrow Strike, and again, NP leaps out of it. Counter initiation from MSS. Here comes the arrow. Skylark at least dodges a lot of that damage with the range drop. Here's the chaotic offer to Skylark. He pops his Sandstorm. It's not enough. They have the amp damage. Madera's going to be able to speed out of there. SSA Spartan. That's disruption. Not sure if he does. Actually, Slithering Crush. It won't matter. He gets destroyed by MSS with his Slithering Crush. The amp damage. Madera still falling low. Now the leap forward, the arrow's going to come through, and Madera will just barely actually sidestep the X-Mark Thorn. Envy thought it too far, loses it, beam. He dives to his death. He has the ultimate coming up from the other side. It's not enough. Meanwhile, another Burrow Strike. Skylark has fought back into the game. MSS will fall. Great turnaround, and they get the goal for Slark on top of it. Nicely done.
That was so bad for NP. That was such a great fight to start with, and then they just end up throwing it all the way, giving away 2 core kills when they could have just taken what they got. 2 pickups and space for AUI to be able to push out bottom. Instead, that's all undone with those 2 core kills, and Adfinem can feel relatively comfortable to be able to take over the map again. They can push out top lane, they can recover bottom lane that AUI was pushing out, and they're making some progression towards their mid game where they can contest NP. The biggest window, I think, for NP, their strongest mark is going to be about 25 minutes when the Sven is done farming. Adfinem just have to weather that storm, essentially.
Yeah. There was a TP coming in top for half a second, was canceled immediately as NP were not going to get in and get ganked by that squad of Adfinem who were taking that top tower. Instead, they will let the tier 1 tower go. Adfinem continue to farm well. We talked about how they're doing. We've also talked about how Thug is the top of net worth. AUI is catching up. He's now actually top of net worth on his team, only by a couple hundred gold here. They will push bottom. SVG has been, I think, invis for a period of time. He's going to sit back behind the tree line.
I think this is absolutely a point where Adfinem need to smoke up and push out through their own jungle, see if they can catch the Sven. If not, at least get some vision inside their own jungle to be able to read these kind of rotations that the Sven is making, because they can't afford to just let him freely do whatever. If they're distracted by the rest of NP, they will still lose this game, I think, because the Sven will catch up.
Meanwhile, NP seem to know something is up here. The smoke did come through, as you had mentioned, from Adfinem. Looks like they did have, at least to say Spartan, I don't think it was smoke to be walking through the ward. They knew he was heading up to this bottom rune area. Maybe next time. 18-minute rune coming out. Looks like they won't go for it. Now they're just going to sit mid and try to take this tier 1 tower, I believe. The push is going to come through. They do have the Luna as well as the Shadow Demon, so illusions are a thing you could create here. But we do see NP setting it for a bit of a defense. MSS is going to come in, throw the amp damage up, see what can get done. But it looks like they will just be able to defend this tower just fine.
Yeah, Elder Titan is like one of the heroes that is so good at being able to defend these outer towers with his Spirit Stomp combination. Just kind of sets up this fear where you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
But the fact that SVG is bottom and Adfinem still don't feel comfortable pushing that tier 1 tower says to me a bit of hesitation that I don't think is a very good sign, because at this point you know the Sven is not necessarily a team fight monster. Sven would not, especially with the start that he has had, he would not have Blink Dagger at this point.
Right.
So Helmet Dominator and just having an Echo Saber is not that menacing. I think they really could try and take some of these outer towers before the 20-minute mark, and that's when you start playing a little bit more careful, hedging your bets. Maybe AY has his Blink Dagger, and then he comes in with that one big team fight, and they take complete control over the game and over the map.
I mean,
so,
we talked about the late game. Do you think that Finem are on a bit of a timer here, even if it gets to a late period and Luna's doing okay? Do you think they still want to be able to push in and take, one of those tier 3 or Raxes before this spend gets gigantic, or?
I think the power spikes go like this. Finem controls the laning phase, and then the 15-minute marker is a bit of a question mark. I don't think necessarily inherently one team has an advantage there. But then NP will take a big power spike up around 25 minutes when Sven has I'm done farming, I have Blink Dagger, right? And then they turn that into team fights, initiation, they get the BKB, they usually will control the game and still be able to have a lead by 30, 35 minutes. And I think then that lead starts trickling away a little bit for NP over time, where just naturally Finem are going to be able to make their way back because they have a double core setup, right? They have both the Luna as well as the OD. Luna is very well countered by the Elder Titan and the Slardar and the heavy physical damage coming out from NP, but there is still an OD that's going to scale as well, and that would make me more concerned. But that's probably not until 45, 50.
We got a while, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
NP will smoke up. It is 20 minutes into the game. They will look for a engagement bottom, or they can head to Roche for one of the two. They have picked up the Aghanim Scepter for Eternal Envy, so he's got that better Starstorm. They will go right into Roche at this point. Finem, we'll see if they make it move over to that area. A couple of wards with full scout at Finim's movement. Looks like they're just going to go ahead and take the Ancients instead from the Dara.
Yeah, this is the problem I have, right? If you are not aggressively pushing these towers when you have the opportunity as Finem, you're not going to close out the game by any means, but you need to take whatever advantages you can before the Sven gets to this fighting point. So if you are not doing that, you are giving NP space to be able to do things like clear through ancient stacks, take Roshan, etc., etc. And just because you have your own ancient stacks does not mean that you shouldn't be trying to that you should just play a passive game and trade farm per farm. I absolutely think you should have tried to take a little bit of map control, but Finem, they're not necessarily the most aggressive team in the world. They're really good at team fights, and I would say that I was talking to Charlie last night. We made the comparison. I said Finem is kind of like a CIS team without as much aggression. They're very team fight focused, but they're much better at being able to progress into late game than some other CIS teams, right? CIS teams are known for being able to go, close out the game, try and win this by 35-40. Finem, they always pick something that will scale a little bit. They'll have at least one hard carry on their team, and as such, they'll feel more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed in not having to pressure. So maybe that's why they're giving up some of these objectives. They feel comfortable with where they're at. Right. They feel like, hey, let's just trade farm out and just wait for NP to. They're going to try and get really aggressive. Yep. It's going to happen soon. Like this Sven
with the Aegis, with the Blink Dagger that they just picked up on this Sven. This is pretty much, it's close to go timing here for NP, at least for the time being. And they'll group up together. They did just, of course, smoke into Roshan. They'll do so again with NP not smoked up. They're going to head towards that mid lane. Maybe next time we'll just go ahead and farm this out. Starstorm used, and this tier 1 tower is going to be denied by NP, unfortunately for Finem. But here we go. We might see a push here or an attempt at an objective or kills coming out from NP. I'm looking for some sort of initiation for now.
The other thing is that Finem have really good reactionary heroes, right? They have 2 saving mechanisms with Disruption. Oh, there goes Baby next time.
Yeah, he's done. It was just that easy with that Blink Dagger from AUI 2000. He pops the God Strength as well. They're looking for more. I don't think Finem will get caught, especially with their tier 1 tower going down, but we'll see where they move to.
See, now you're going to see NP close off the map very rapidly, right? You see immediately what AUI identifies as right after that tower, he takes Ancients. That's what NP, they are so reliant on Ancients oftentimes that they know exactly how to counter the opposing strategy that is going to be farming off of Ancients as well. They're going to close off the tier 1 mid, they're going to close off the tier 1 top, take over that secret shop area, close out the map.
Look how much map control they just got up getting that tier 1 tower alone. They haven't really been across the river this entire game. Now they walk through the tier 1 tower top lane, but here comes MSS. They use the disruption, and this is with the tier 1 tower's top still being there. Like, they're still being so aggressive, like you talked about. They took over the Ancients, they took over the secret shop area. They got one tier 1 tower, and immediately they weren't playing Ancient Sack, as you mentioned.
Yeah, at this point, it used to be the meta that you would take over the enemy's jungle, because that was much more of a farming mechanism than Ancients currently is. But now Ancients are highly prioritized, so teams are switching it up from trying to pressure the tier 1 and tier 2 in safe lanes to actually pressuring the tier 1 in the off lane instead, because the offlane tower is what helps control the Ancients on both sides.
Right.
That way you don't have to go in through the high ground areas in order to get to those Ancients, right, to be able to contest stacks or, just make general gain. If you take away that offlane tower, can actually go in from the high ground rather than the other way around.
They're still looking for that tier 1 tower. Envy is walking through. He may find maybe next time, rather. They've scouted him. Envy's been caught in pretty much no man's land. He does have the Aegis, he has his Aghanim Scepter, 2,000 gold as well. But he's just going to back up. They're going to push this tier 1 tower eventually, but in the meantime, Madara is still getting pretty good farm. Mantis style now done. He has the Dragon Lance as well. No BKB built just yet. He'll work on that perhaps next. I think at this point, he's starting to really catch up and get to where he needs to be.
The important item really is the Manta style for the Luna. If you have a good laning phase, you'll have a Manta style by now. And this is what allows you to be able to dodge fights even better, because you're essentially saying, with this Manta style, I can actually do a lot more split pushing than normal, so it's more worth it for us to dodge fights. You kind of think about it that way. At Finem, though, looks like they're going to be caught potentially by NP. NB always on the back lines and searching for that one pickup because he's got the Aegis.
He is alone. He's going to get burrow struck, and I think he still has his Aegis, but not for much longer. It's gone. The rest of NP are going to rotate it and put him standing around. They still want to fight this, it looks like, but Dara's trying to decide. Disruption comes in defensively. Stomp's still not there yet. They will come in. Slithering first. They will catch up the Luna. There's going to be the God Strike, the Stormhammer. They break down the Luna almost instantly. Skylark on the other side. X marks SPG being caught. So far, it's the Warlock down. He did have his ultimate, but he couldn't get it off. SPG will be next. Starstorm. NP's not there really to fight. There's the Hurricane Pike coming out from Thug. Another Stormhammer. Can AUI do this on its own? Burrow Strike. They might be able to take everyone down here. AUI's getting low. They pop the ultimate. Ultra kill for Thug. Can he find the Rampage? The Yule Scepter is up. NP's X marked. He does not have his Aegis anymore, and he will just go down. Rampage for Thug. All 5 dead. The pause comes out instantly afterward. What a fight for Adfinem. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was an amazing fight. It started off so terrible, right? For Adfinem, they got the pick on Muerta, right? But that was kind of null because it had Aegis and there was a Titan Spirit set up, so they couldn't really go on NB again. But then that play by Spartan, where he disrupts the Luna, despite there's nothing actually coming out just yet, and he sets up the Stomp as well as MSS to be able to come in. It was like, oh god,
yeah,
like he just killed his carry.
Yeah.
But you know, we've got this other scaling core in the OD, exactly, and that's the thing, is that the Blink Dagger is the first start for a Sven, but you need to be able to use that Blink Dagger, get the pick off, take the objectives, win the team fight, and then you need that other item, BKB, right? And that's the other essential item that they have to have when you're facing up against both a Luna as well as an OD. BKB has mega value there, but unfortunately, AUI just really wasn't able to use it. Didn't have it yet.
Yep. And with that, they lose an entire 5-man team fight against essentially, like obviously all of Adfinem had been there. The net worth graph was about 4,000 in favor of NP at one point. It's now climbing back to even. Thug is, of course, going to be one of your top net worth farmers. Obviously, NP's still intent on farming AUI 2000 up as much as possible, but that gives so much gold to that Outworld Devourer.
And now they're clearing through those ancient stacks faster and faster as the stats start racking up for the Luna, and they're using the Manta style and the Shadow Demon illusions really well to be able to clear through these things as well. This is the other side. This is the other side of the coin, right? When I talked about, Adfinem had an opportunity to get aggressive and take objective early on, but they played more conservative. This is the good side of it.
Yeah.
In their conservative play, because other aggressive teams would be like, we just want a team fight. Let's go. Let's put some pressure on NP. Let's mess them up. But Adfinem do not necessarily need to do that. They don't need to be so brash and bold, because NP are still hitting a very big power spike with that BKB on the Sven. So if they're going to go for these team fights, if they want to try and contest NP, they should still try and be very careful with the way they set up. I think they should only go for fights if they're smoked up. They should always have counter vision ready to go in case of Moonlight Shadows. I do not think they need to be as active, because they could just play the farm game if NP allow them to.
I'm also interested, that last team fight, we talked about the timing, you talked about it in particular, that 25-minute timing, that was when NP took that fight. It was right as that BKB should have been up, the Blink Dagger was there as well, and they still didn't come out on top. They still have, obviously, some good advantages here, and they're going to find another hero. In fact, it will be the Santee going down for a long period of time, 68 seconds. We might be able to find maybe next time as well. Absolutely. Great stop from SPG, the Slithering Crutch as well. They actually find 2 there. It's a pretty big setup coming out for MP. Now they can push into the tier 2 tower mid lane.
Yeah, they absolutely can. The pick off of the Sand King was probably good enough for them to be able to pressure an objective. Looks like they're still putting more priority on taking away Ancients, which is obviously pretty valuable when you've got this Sven. But I still think that these sort of pickoffs, they're a little bit expected, and Adfinem in some ways can bleed hero kills as long as it's not the OD and the Luna. Right, because Zangief has everything he really needs. Kunkka and Shadow Demon are both defensive style heroes, reactionary, that don't necessarily need a whole lot of items. It's really just the two cores and how they scale. That's the most important thing. So if they were creating space for the Luna, it's creating space for the OD, who now has a Shivas, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is the dangerous thing. This is why I feel more and more comfortable with Ad Finem late game past 45 minutes. Is it's not just about whether or not how many cores the team has, but it's also how they counter that opposing team's core. And Sven will have a hard time against these kiting mechanisms. Hurricane Pike, Shivas. If he starts going lower and lower in the BKB duration, he's basically got a 5-second window to lock down a core and take it out before he's then exposed to all these various kiting mechanisms that Ad Finem has, right? I mean, every single one of those heroes has something.
That's the inherent problem with this Sven in a lot of these situations. You just get kited. It's not like a life stealer to a certain extent. You just get kited so often if you don't have your BKB up, if you're not in the best position to fight.
Which is why it's so important to hit your timings at 25 minutes, right? 20 minutes, you have the Blink Dagger. 25 minutes, you have the BKB. You start building into more damage after that, but you just need to take that window of that 10 to 7 seconds BKB and just dominate it and take a big net worth advantage and start setting yourself up for the inevitable Rose Shages.
I will say I'm very impressed with how NP is caught up for AUI 2000. They are looking for a fight. It's Moonlight Shadow. They might find Thug. They might find Slark here. Who will they catch? It's going to be MSS. They have the Spirit Card. That's a huge target. Can they bring it down? They force him away. There's the Stormhammer coming out. The Chaotic Offering. They're blowing him away. He's done with Dara. Pops it, but he's alone. Burrow Strike. It's not in time. Skylark will not be able to save the Luna. They're going to start from the backside. SA Spartans, though, Skylark will fall. It's a triple for AUI. Can they get the stop? No bash from MSS. 3 dead, but these 3 important targets. Your 3 cores are down for Ad Finem. What a fight for MP. Moonlight Shadow coming in beautifully. No Sentry Ward coming out for Ad Finem.
And this is what we were trying to talk about, right? The fact that NP could definitely still win team fights. Just because they got wiped in that one team fight setup where they didn't have the BKB, it doesn't matter, right? You should not take confidence out of that and say, oh, we beat them in team fights. There's no way. NP are still incredibly strong right now. They just wiped out that OD so quickly with the Crystallis pickup.
Arrow, that's to say Spartan, good self-disrupt, still in trouble. That's a 3-man Torrent coming out from maybe next time. They're still diving here. The tier 2 tower's gone. AUI clears out for SSA Spartan pretty much instantly. And now they'll go to work on the tier 3. No, they'll back up together as a team. Maybe look for Roshan, which is now back up and ready to go.
I think if you're NP, you just want a huge team fight. Took an objective off of that. You should take the safer route of going for Roshan because you know Ad Finem will contest. Even if you did take the tier 3 tower and the Sand King comes up, they have so much tech that you should not risk that. You should easily go back, take Roshan for yourself, get that Aegis, and Ad Finem are going to be hard-pressed for the next 10 minutes to stay alive in this game. Because another team fight like that will lead to at least a lane of Rax, if not so much more. They got to start taking 5x.
Yeah. Maybe that's an unfortunate fight for Ad Finem. They let go of the Aegis and Roshan, obviously, as they just respawned. AUI 2000 almost at the 20k net worth. He is caught up beautifully now, doing rather well for himself. It's going to be the Bloodthorn coming out for AUI, so he's got the silence on top of the crit, not going through the Daedalus, which we usually see from Spens, or at least we used to. Bit of an interesting choice coming out for AUI 2000.
Maybe he feels like this the silence opportunity is going to be able to stop some of the offensive heroes that he has to deal with. And with this kind of 5-man, it might set up a lot easier for them. I'm not sure if Envy gets out of this one.
They're rotating down. It's going to be a little bit too late. It looks like Envy leaps the wrong direction. X marks, Moonlight Shadow, Lucid Beam, Envy, done. Ghost Ship even comes out as well. That might have been the first Ghost Ship I've seen all game, actually. I don't think I've seen another one.
It's happened, I think, only once or twice. It's because this Kunkka just... He's either they've got a clean pick off and they don't really need the ship, or they're using the ship to get a 1-hero kill, or the fight just happens so quickly that he's not able to get a very good ship off. But that is actually, I really think that Coco's Rum is the only reason that Ad Finem will be able to stand up against NP in this big power window for when they've got this really big spend. Other than that, Ad Finem, they've got to get BKBs, but they're trying to finish up a Butterfly on Madara. Obviously, he's got a lot of physical damage to worry about, but this just means the Bloodthorn is going to be all the more effective. It means he's preventing the OD from being able to imprison himself. He can potentially stop a defensive support as it comes in to try and help that core out. He can also use the Bloodthorn that way. There's a lot of dangers here, and I'm not sure Ad Finem again, it's really going to come down to those defensive supports more than anything. I think the cores you talk about, and it's usually, this core will have to do super well, etc., etc. But this is not the case. NP will always get their initiation on the core, almost guaranteed. There's no BKBs, so they're always going to get that initiation. It's going to be how the defensive supports interact off of that, and how do they counter initiate, and how effectively they use those defensive spells to keep the cores alive.
I have a question I want to ask about Adfin. I don't believe they have a gem on them currently. How do you feel about the true sight situation for Adfin on this grading side? They do have one on Skylark, so that is good, but...
I think it's at this point in time the NP need to be able to take control of the map. They need to be able to make the map, the whole entire place very claustrophobic for Finem, where they feel closed off. They feel that they're not able to push out and get farm at all. So the gem is really good for them, and I think Finem, in some ways, you naturally have to respond with a gem of your own. When you're pushing out, you need to know, do they have vision of us? Do they know that Luna is alone pushing out the top lane? Or do they know that there's 4 heroes behind them? You know, that's the kind of thing that's that allows NP to be able to really crush you. Because if they see, like, Luna's pushing up the top lane, she's showing, right? But they have a ward somewhere in the lane, and they see 4 heroes behind it, well, that means NP don't need to fight necessarily, and they could just punish you by hardcore split pushing and taking over the other 2 lanes. And conversely, they do have a ward behind it, and then they'll feel more comfortable ganking that core, getting the free pick off, say, with just Envy, or Envy +1, and then being able to, again, rope in the map as much as possible and make Adfinem feel blind.
Adfinim's map control right now is currently better than NP's, at least in terms of wards. There's maybe one, I think, in the jungle. That's about it. For NP, Adfinim have wards top rune spot. They have wards at the entrance to the jungle, their own jungle right now, so they have some vision going their way. They're actually getting smoked upon right now by NP, but this smoke is about to run out. They used it a while ago, and they're going to head to the hard camp and not find anybody. It looks like Adfinim are going to back up smartly and get back home to their base and push out the rest of the waves.
You know what I really like about this from Adfinem? They're not playing too scared. They push out as a 5-man crew, and the great thing about pushing out as a 5-man, say NP take the fight, right? They take the fight on their own side of the map, which means they're not able to utilize some of their pushing power to immediately punish you. Even if they win that fight against Adfinem, they can't immediately go high ground, and that's the most dangerous part of this game for Adfinem.
The Burrow struck. There's the Torrent coming in the ghost ship. He has BKB, no X marks. He gets out. SPG will miss the stun. Maybe next time still might be in a little bit of trouble. AUI is going to blink forward. Arrow does come through and hit just narrowly onto maybe next time. It was about to go wide, it looks like, but he started keeping out, of course, canceled, and he's dropped down.
Nice punish by NP. That was a switch up of strategy that I like to see from Adfinem. You know, they push 5-man top, and then they leave 2 of their gankers behind, and then they start pushing out the bottom and mid lanes. Again, it means that they could potentially get a really good kill on NP with those 2 pick-off heroes, and if they don't, then they still create space for the 2 other cores. Because look at this, again, NP are not in a position to truly punish. AY can by himself push down that tier 2 tower, but it means he's not necessarily for the push at bottom lane,
right.
So Adfinem feel comfortable just keep going. As soon as the Sven starts disappearing, Adfinem may back off. They don't have the comfort.
MSS has been spotted. You can hear them yelling, might find this kill. BKB, but it's so low, and they will finally drop him. That's no initiation anymore for NP. In fact, the gem dropped on the deck as well. They will actually stop the push top lane. SPG is going to be back home, but AUI, he's not pushing this fast enough. He has to blink out TP back home. They're pushing the tier 3 tower down bottom. This might be there's no buyback for MSS right now. Can they actually defend this on the high ground? This is so tough for MP if they keep going for Adfinem.
Yeah, they saw that Sven did not have a TP. So they're like, all right, we get tier 2 tower almost for free here.
They're going to back up. They get it with the illusions coming out just to the narrow end of those illusions' life, but they will get it done. That is a kill on MS. It's a kill, of course, on the tier 3 tower. They will finally get AUI back to the base, but the damage has already been done to a certain extent. They might find, just to say Spartan, he's able to actually dodge. Oh no, the 2-hit Stormhammer comes down, they'll bring down one, there's the Bloodthorn, the Canic offer, can they kill Thug? He's low, he's trying to get out as best as he can, and he's gonna get at least that Astral Imprisonment off, but it's not gonna be enough. It's too much damage. Envy comes through, he's got his right clicks, they bring down Thug, dead for 72, Skylark is able to make it out, the rest of them make it away as well. That's a lot closer than it needed to be, and they get the kill onto Thug, the most important pickup for NP so far.
That felt like, to me, a very unnecessary, unforced error from Adfinem. They had plenty of time to be able to read the situation and go, our Kunkka's top lane, they just came back with a Sven. it's not really needed for us to fight here. Again, it's okay if you fight on the enemy side of the base, but that was an unnecessary fight. They could have just easily backed up, TP to the top tower, then pushed that one out, and be gone as a 5-man. The fact that you can hear them talking about, they got excited, they were like, hey, let's fight.
Yeah.
Unnecessary, I think, in my opinion. I think they're getting a little bit too ahead of themselves, and if they just remain calm, they could have kept map control. But with that fight, obviously, NP will be able to corral in all the lanes, and this is where it gets dangerous, right? It's not necessarily about whether or not you win or lose a team fight against NP. It's about what NP is able to take after that team fight.
They just got that tier 2 tower top, as you were mentioning, able to get a lot of objectives, and it looks like they'll probably get the tier 2 tower bottom as well, with Thug being down for that long period of time. They don't want to buy back, obviously, for these outer towers. Tier 2 will stay alive for the time being. Roche is not up for at least maybe a couple more minutes here. We'll find out the time in about 20 seconds or so when Roche is actually up. But yeah, I mean, and AUI gets more farm off that. He bought a Lincoln Sphere now, so he's if he's not 6 slotted already, he's pretty close. Boots of travel maybe, and that's about it. Maybe sell your Echo Paper as well for something else, more damaging, more survivability. It really depends on what he wants.
I really like this Lincoln's pickup because if you look at it, all the defensive abilities, they're single targeted in some way. You got the Disruption or Purge that's going to be used on the Sven. You've got the Sand King Bro Strike, despite it being a line stun and it feels like it should be AoE. It does get blocked by Lincoln's as well. The Imprisonment used offensively, blocked out by Lincoln's. So I think these are all really good choices by AUI to pick up that item, pick up that way to be able to make sure that he is not stopped in his tracks even after the BKB goes down, that he can continue to pressure forward. And this is now a time where they're giving a little space to add Finem, but I think part of it is because Roshan's coming up and NP are about to finish up a couple of key items like that Lincoln. They just got a Blaz now on their Elder Titan. That's a very big increase in damage for them. Envy's got 4k gold. I'm not sure if they want to be able to stall this out until he has the Ethereal Blade. That might be a nice thought. And honestly, 1437 is not too far away from a Refresher, and that will mean a ton in team fights, because now Finem have BKBs on their course, right? So before it was entirely reliant on their defensive supports to play correctly. Now it's no longer the case because they have the BKBs to be able to dodge Stormbolt, be able to dodge Arrow, the Titan Spirit, whatever, right? So it means that this stun that comes out from 1437 with the double chaotic offering is all the more important because it helps be able to keep those cores in place even through the BKB for the Sven to be able to hammer them down.
Not to mention, if they take a fight on Finem's side of the map, especially close to that tier 3 tower, they drop a double chaotic offering, that tower is just gone. I mean, it was gone with the Sven beforehand, but it's gone even faster now with the double golem. So.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. 1437, he has I saw the Perseverance, or excuse me, a Void Stone, and I thought, oh, Refresher.
Right.
But he doesn't even have Aghanim stuff too. So, maybe, what item? Lotus Orb, Lincoln's?
He's got a lot of options here.
But you don't go Refresher without the Aghanim.
Yeah, I mean,
I got ahead of myself on that one.
That's a good point. And it's very surprising to see him not go for the Aghanims first. I mean, he has a lot of different options here. He wants to go.
They seem to have a lot of value in Lincolns in this game. Yeah, we just saw another one picked up, so he doesn't go for the Ethereal Blade. He goes for a Lincoln's on Eternal Envy.
I like this, though. I like how defensive they're being. They know that if they lose one fight, if they have bad positioning, they can take... I mean, Adfinem can take Rex just as fast as NP can with illusions, with the Luna, so there's obviously a lot at stake here for making sure you avoid these pickoffs. Roshan is back up. It was a almost full duration Roshan respawn. Adfinem have positioned themselves down the bottom lane where they know they can push in, they can keep these lanes pushed out, make it tough for NP to maybe find a pick or find just an entry into Roshan at this point. And they're being aggressive here because they're right in the pit already with these NP can counteract. They take this fast too.
This is so risky from Adfinem, but they feel comfortable because the Sven is showing at the top lane they have a double damage. So despite facing up against an Elder Titan, they're still trying to do this.
And the Elder Titan did stop it because they know that this is happening. Envy jumps into the BKB. They're going to go for it. Double Stormhammer again. They do get off the ghost and it's going to get up. There's the chaotic offering. They stun 2 again. Can they find Madera? Thug, they both pop the BKB. They get a bad stun from MSS, but here comes the next center. Envy's going to drop down. MSS finds it through refresh. Can they get this kill on Thug? Absolutely. 2 dead. Madara is low as well. Skylark's heading out of there. And NP will try to take Roche now. There's no buyback now coming out for this OG. And Luna is barely alive at this point. She's sitting at pretty much no HP right now. And they will get the Aegis going to MSS, and the Chief picked up as well for NP.
Huge Huge misplay there from Finem to attempt to do Roshan against an Elder Titan, and they're actually going to lose more here.
Oh, that's
nice use of travel use.
He does get the Bloodthorn off. It's not going to be enough. It looks like SSA Spartans should live here. The Bloodthorn will go up, and that'll be the end of it.
Either way, though, I mean, the thing is they feel comfortable because the Sven was at top lane, he's showing, and they have a double damage, so it's like, oh, we could do this Roshan so quickly. He might not even be able to TP and make it in time. Elder Titan is the ultimate stall. Like, he is the ultimate stall when it comes to the Roshan pit, right? He throws a spirit in there, he stomps. You either, like, disrupt like they did, or you just tank the stun, or you pop your BKB. Honestly, I think popping BKBs and just trying to man up against Roshan might have been the best option there.
Yeah, they could've
but it
brought it
doesn't
down.
feel good, right?
I mean, obviously it wasn't a fight they really wanted to take. They wanted to be able to take down Roshan before that stomp came in. It's very tough, though. And SVG's having another great performance at Elder Titan. I mean, this is not shocking. This guy's played this hero a lot. So NP are looking very solid right now. They don't take an outer tower or a tier 3 tower. They don't take a Ratchet, obviously. They're trying to keep the lanes pushed in. But with now the Aegis up, the Cheese up, with Envy respawning again, it looks like NP might have a go time here pretty soon.
Man, 1437 has so much gold.
Go Scythe. I mean, he's just got like a lot of money. I mean, he could go Scythe if he really wanted to, I feel like.
I mean, he's got Blink Dagger, so I guess Scythe could be potentially an okay item, but I think that is not how you play Warlock.
No, probably not. I mean, I'm just saying,
Upheaval's a really good ability.
I'm literally just saying, like, he has money for it. I mean, if he wanted to buy it, he could. He's got 4K gold. I don't know what you buy at this point. You're just saving for buyback too, I suppose.
I mean, it could be, if they have, like, the thing about these Lincolns for these heroes on NP is that there is no initiation from Finem, right? Because their way to initiate is usually going to be through Burrow Strike. If they initiate any other way, it allows NP to be able to set up, right? Because the Burrow Strike is an instant stun into follow-up.
Yeah.
Everything else, Disruption, X marks the spot into Torrent, it all gives NP time to be able to set up and use their BKBs. So there is no form of initiation that can really catch NP when they have these Lincolns like this. So they feel, even later on to the game, when you say have like Scythe of Vice on the OD, which I'm presuming is going to be his next item, selling out these drums, even then, you know, the hard, you know, Blink disable still doesn't do anything because they have the Lincolns. I think it was a very smart pickup by them, and they seem to have this knack for being able to find the right kind of sustain items that makes the enemy have a very hard time initiating or getting the team fight that they really want. You can see the way they pick up like those pipes and stuff, where they just like load up on magic armor and they just run around as a 5-man. It's so hard for the enemy team to be able to get the initiation they want because they can't pop anybody.
This NP squad has got a lot of bags of their tricks right now. Have you bought anything? Oh, 37, please buy something. You 4.4k gold. You don't need buyback. You're a Warlock. Come on, man.
He's got Aegis for another 2 minutes. I presume they want to push high ground by then. But Finem, that's the thing. It's like initiation is not as important when the enemy's pushing into you, pushing into high ground like that. So it's rough, but I don't think Finem's going to give them the opportunity for a pickoff unless they find the next team that's the only way. Because right now they can actively keep the lanes away from the tier 3. They can keep the creeps off the tier 3 tower purely through illusion spam.
Yep.
Shadow Demon or the Manta, either one can be used to clear through a creep wave just like that.
Unless they get lucky, MP are going to have to make an attempt at this high ground push at some point in time. I mean, it's coming to that point. MP, I think, realizes they're starting to group up top lane. It looks like that's where they want to go. Skylark, he just narrowly avoids that spear. He's able to blink out in time. He's kind of dangerous, but he's able to do so. And it is the Scythe.
All right, go Mod. Mod power visited his way through. Good call, Mod.
You know how often I get that? Never. All right, go.
Man, a Warlock with Blink Sight.
I mean, it's unconventional.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I guess he's not going to be planning on being in position for Upheaval, but it does give them even more hard lockdown initiation against these BKBs, right? Because that's the thing. Like, at Finem, they don't have that same luxury that NP does, where it's like they don't have to worry about initiation. They have AoE Crush that could easily go through Lincolns, right, and catch them out. So it's this kind of hard, instant stun scenario.
And it's the Stormhammer really good against. If you get the Stormhammer Crush, you get a Stormhammer, you fall from an instant jump in X. I mean, that's all they really need, and they might find it here momentarily. They would go for the Stormhammer, but Madera was able to back up. Yeah, I think have the X marks on him. Already a significant amount of damage done to the tier 3 tower with just maybe a couple seconds of pushing. But NP will back up for the time being.
So at NP, their best play here, unfortunately they're going to lose their Aegis, but I think the way you try and structure this high ground push is that you try and threaten a hero and force it into using BKB, and once you use BKB, they naturally want to commit, and you back out with the Lincoln still in hand.
Ghost ship, AUI might be okay. He's able to leap out, but he does take a lot of damage from that ghost ship, so they might have to make a decision. Do we want to keep going? Do we want to put a Shadow Ward on NB? Do we want to go back in again? Looks like they will Shadow Ward NB up and try for another push here momentarily. It's going to take him a while to heal up. He does have the cheese, of course, so he has that second life if he can pop it in time.
Ooh, what is this? This is some other kind of commitment here. This 5-man smoke. This is saying, like, we want this initiation to work out.
Moonlight Shadow's going to come out as well. They drop the illusions down. They'll probably be a bit confused when they find that nobody's up here.
I mean, I think at Finem, like, they've proven to be very careful in this space of time where NP's trying to siege you and get that one pick off. I don't think they would just stumble into the trap, the bear trap like this.
You can hear at
late into
like
the game.
They were talking about it. They knew something was happening. They're just like, yeah, okay. As soon as they saw NP, they're like, yeah, okay, they just looked up or something like that. So they understood what was going on. So again, NP are just going to have to break this base the normal way, without doing any sort of shenanigans. Maybe they can find a take, but right now that doesn't seem to be the case. Counter initiation, MSS is able to get in. They got the Hex off as well. They force it back into the base for now, but NP comes in. The Golem's going to get dropped down. There's the Yule Center coming out. Scala might be able to survive here. Lots of damage coming. AUI in the backside looking for Great Earth Splitter coming out as well. 2 already dead, and Thug will be the third to drop. They have plenty of damage from AUI. He does not have buyback. Madera might be the only one. He walks up and he tries to whatever he can. They're diving for the Stormhammer. They get up the Bloodthirst. See you later. God, like 5 dead. They get off a buyback from Madera, but it's only him alive at this point, and MP will take tier 3 tower more than likely this game, Cap.
Yep, they just had no buybacks. The OD didn't have a buyback, the SK didn't have a buyback. Their defensive supports were pretty close, but NP pushed at the perfect time. Like another 500 gold on many of these heroes, and we could have seen Adfinem still hold the defense just by using those buybacks and being able to push NP once the BKBs and chaotic offerings have been used. But because of this, one team fight is all it takes for NP to be able to claim victory over this game.
Yeah, I gotta say, and both teams played extraordinarily well. Obviously, you had Adfinem coming in big with a couple of these fights, but NP, they're able to outlast Adfinem with this Fen. Even with the awful start AUI 2000 we've had, they're able to come back in, get him to farm with the ancient stats. They control the map from that point on. Not much they can do on Adfinem's side, especially with great itemization from NP. Jump into the recurse, they'll find one. Now they get the arrow off as well. Madera gets forced back. He's going to be able to at least stay alive for a moment here, but with, of course, that damage from NP inside of NP, they're going to take down another. He's dead for 100 seconds, and that is it. GG. Game number 1 of Northern Arena Beat Invitational goes to NP.
Good work by NP. The ability to be able to make that kind of recovery after a kind of an awkward laning phase and the 1v1 setup at bottom lane, you had to feel some pressure. And then the fact that they lost a team fight when they reached one of their strongest stages, that again would have put a lot of pressure on them. It would have caused some stress. It would have been like, oh God, we just gave a 5-man team fight.
Right.
We shouldn't have allowed that